1st April 1917. Thou hast shown to my mute and expectant soul all the splendor of fairy landscapes, trees at festival, and lonely paths that seem to scale the sky. But of my destiny thou didst not speak to me. Must it be so veiled from me? Once more, everywhere I see cherry trees. Thou hast put a magical power in these flowers. They seem to speak of thy sole presence. They bring with them the smile of the divine. My body is at rest, and my soul blossoms in light. What kind of a charm hast thou put into these trees in flower? O Japan, it is thy festive adorning, expression of thy goodwill. It is thy purest offering, the pledge of thy fidelity. It is thy way of saying that thou dost mirror the sky. And now here is a magnificent country of high mountains, all covered with pines and richly tilled valleys. And the little pink roses this Chinese brings, are they a promise of the near future? 7th April 1917. Translation by Sri Aurobindo. A deep concentration seized on me, and I perceived that I was identifying myself with a single cherry blossom, then through it with all cherry blossoms. And as I descended deeper in the consciousness, following a stream of bluish force, I became suddenly the cherry tree itself, stretching towards the sky like so many arms, its innumerable branches laden with their sacrifice of flowers. Then I heard distinctly this sentence: Thus hast thou made thyself one with the soul of the cherry trees, and so thou canst take note that it is the divine who makes the offering of this flower prayer to heaven. When I had written it, all was effaced. But now the blood of the cherry tree flows in my veins, and with it flows an incomparable peace and force. What difference is there between the human body and the body of a tree? In truth, there is none. The consciousness which animates them is identically the same. Then the cherry tree whispered in my ear, It is in the cherry blossom that lies the remedy for the disorders of the spring. 9th April 1917. Once the threshold of the kingdom of thy omniscience has been crossed, each time there is a return to the mental world. Every thought one has, there seems a marvelous and unfathomable problem one had never dreamed of before. Above, no question is put. In that calm silence, all is known from all eternity. Below, all is new, unknown, unexpected. And the two meeting in one single consciousness bring a trustful wondering, source of peace and light and joy. 10th April 1917. My heart has fallen asleep down to the very depths of my being. The whole earth is in a stir and agitation of perpetual change. All life enjoys and suffers, strives, struggles, conquers, is destroyed and formed again. My heart has fallen asleep down to the very depths of my being. In all these innumerable and manifold elements, I am the will that moves, the thought that acts, the force that realizes, the matter that is put in motion. My heart has fallen asleep down to the very depths of my being. No more personal limits, no more individual action, no longer any separative concentration creating conflict, nothing but a single and infinite oneness. My heart has fallen asleep down to the very depths of my being. 28th April 1917. Translation by Sri Aurobindo. O my divine Master, who hast appeared to me this night in all thy radiant splendor, thou canst in an instant make this being perfectly pure, luminous, translucid, conscious. Thou canst liberate it from its last dark spots, free it from its last preferences. Thou canst, but hast thou not done this tonight when it was penetrated with thy divine effluence and thy ineffable light? It may be, for in me is a superhuman strength made all of calm and immensity. Grant that from this summit I may not fall. Grant that peace may forever reign as the master of my being, not only in my depths of which it has long been the sovereign, but in the least of my external activities, in the smallest recesses of my heart and of my action. I salute thee, O Lord, deliverer of beings. Lo, here are flowers and benedictions. Here is the smile of divine love. It is without preferences and without repulsions. It streams out towards all in a generous flow and never takes back its marvelous gifts. Her arms outstretched in a gesture of ecstasy, the eternal Mother pours upon the world the unceasing dew of her purest love. Akakura, July 13, 1917. One day I wrote, my heart has fallen asleep down to the very depths of my being. Merely asleep? I cannot believe it. I think it is completely hushed, perhaps forever. From sleep one awakes. From this quietness there is no falling back. And since that day I have not observed any relapse. In place of something very intensely concentrated, which for a long while was intermittently tumultuous, has come an immensity so vast and calm and untroubled, filling my being, or rather, my being has melted into that. For how could that which is limitless be contained in a form? And these great mountains, with their serene contours, which I see from my window, range after majestic range up to the very horizon, are in perfect harmony with the rhythm of this being, filled with an infinite peace. Lord, couldst thou have taken possession of thy kingdom, or rather of this part of the kingdom, for the body is still obscure and ignorant, slow to respond, without plasticity. Will it be purified one day like the rest? And will thy victory then be total? It matters little. This instrument is what thou wantest it to be, and its bliss is unalloyed. Tokyo, September 24th, 1917. Translation by Sri Aurobindo. Thou hast subjected me to a hard discipline. Rung after rung, I have climbed the ladder which leads to thee, and at the summit of the ascent, thou hast made me taste the perfect joy of identity with thee. Then, obedient to thy command, rung after rung, I have descended to outer activities and external states of consciousness, re-entering into contact with these worlds that I left to discover thee. And now that I have come back to the bottom of the ladder, all is so dull, so mediocre, so neutral in me and around me that I understand no more. What is it then that thou awaitest from me? And to what use that slow, long preparation if all is to end in a result to which the majority of human beings attain without being subjected to any discipline? How is it possible that having seen all that I have seen, experienced all that I have experienced, after I have been led up even to the most sacred sanctuary of thy knowledge and communion with thee, thou hast made of me so utterly common an instrument in such ordinary circumstances? In truth, O Lord, thy ends are unfathomable and pass my understanding. Why, when thou hast placed in my heart the pure diamond of thy perfect felicity, sufferest thou its surface to reflect the shadows which come from outside, and so leave unsuspected, and it would seem ineffective, the treasure of peace thou hast granted me? Truly, all this is a mystery and confounds my understanding. Why, when thou hast given me this great inner silence, sufferest thou the tongue to be so active and the thought to be occupied with things so futile? Why? I could go on questioning indefinitely, and to all likelihood, always in vain. I have only to bow to thy decree and accept my condition without uttering a word. I am now only a spectator who watches the dragon of the world unrolling its coils without end.